you played this server for like 2 weeks before, and you were there on the
I did.
launch.
Well, you're looking at my post.
Grimy range there.
That's my post. So I did a write up about this server. I did play on it. It was basically an instant 58 TBC server that had Outlands locked for 2 weeks, so you could prepare and get your tunes. I guess you could like mounts and whatever, so you can get ready for that. So I was kind of interested in it. Basically, my idea was I wanted to play this server just to get some more raid experience in TBC for when Netherwing comes out, so I can just jump right into it, no worries. You know what I mean? Just get a feel for my class that I wanted to play. I just want to have a bit of fun on TBC. I love the dungeons as well. TBC dungeons are just super fun to me. I think they're the best dungeons in the game, no question. They're just I love them. So it was a win-win for me, but what transpired next was basically hell on earth, to put it lightly. I mean, seriously, hell on earth. So you guys are probably reading the post there. I'm sure some of you guys have already seen the post, but basically, the vanilla dungeons for a TBC server weren't bad. They were decent. They were playable, right? There was a couple of things there was a couple of pathing issues, like you'd walk past a wall and you would pull another mob that should just never be pulled. There was some of that, but I also remember experiencing some of that on Light's Hope as well, which was considered a very good, high tier, high quality vanilla private server, right? So I wasn't going to be too hard on these guys for that, considering keeping in mind it was a TBC server first and foremost. So ultimately, who gives a fuck about vanilla, right? Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck about BRD or Marauding or who cares? But it was playable. I did them all. I did UBRS, LBRS, Skolo, DM, BRD. I only encountered a couple of bugs throughout all of them, mainly just like I said, pathing bugs. DM North had an in combat bug that was annoying, but I also remember it on Lights Hope as well. So, like I said, can't hold them to too high a standard. But I was farming, so I spent most of my time on that server farming. I farmed about 800 gold in a week and a half of gameplay. So I was playing a decent amount, like properly farming. So I was really excited for this. Come launch, click on the pics there just to bring them up. So these are the pics I took of launch on launch day. They were expecting like 1,000 players. What I saw was like thousands upon thousands. Now,
Oh,
keep in mind, this
Jesus.
only shows you half the picture as well because you're in a crater, right, in that photo. And up on the top of the crater, which is above where the photo was taken, like above where it cuts off, there was a whole shit ton of people standing all around the crater looking down. So I would say there was honestly like 3,000 people just at that crater alone, maybe even more. And there was still a bunch of people in the world as well trying to get their spawns, trying to get the instant 58s, getting their shit together. So it was just crazy. Like, it was one of the craziest launches I've ever seen. Like, it was super fun. I'm not going to lie. Like, sadly, it was the best part of the server, was the portal opening. That's where it peaked, was at the portal opening. It was all downhill after that. So that's pretty sad. But what happened afterwards is basically everyone goes rushing in, everyone goes flying in. There's so many people standing on top of the Flymaster that no one can even click on the Flymaster anymore. So everyone's just running to the first outpost in Hellfire Peninsula, and these idiots, these retarded fucking moron developers, okay, the most brainlet developers I've ever seen in my life. These guys apparently had a combined private server experience amounting to 50 plus years. There was a guy on there called Power to All, who was one of the developers. He had been developing private servers since 2003. Okay, before people even played vanilla. He was working with the beta client. So that guy had 17 years alone. So this is insane to me. What happened next was they didn't have any dynamic respawns or fast respawns. It was all just stock. It was just normal respawns. So you had thousands of people in this relatively small zone. Just 20 people camping a mob each. It was a sight to see. I wish I actually filmed it. There was like 20 people on each mob spawn, waiting for this thing to spawn. Each mob was taking about 4 to 5 minutes to respawn, right? So I'm
Jesus
sitting there and
Christ.
I'm saying, holy fuck, this is cancer. That's why I called it the most unfun experience I've ever had. It was so cancerous. I couldn't get any quest done. I eventually got one quest done. The first one where you collect like the planks of wood and shit. I think it took me about 3 hours to do. To get one quest done. So obviously I'm just gonna go and do a dungeon, right? Like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta somehow beat the pack. I've got to do something to get past this, because this is ridiculous. So people are advertising dungeon runs. I join a dungeon. here we are. We're ready to go. You know, what's it called? Hellfire. What's it called? Stockades. The first one. I forgot what it's
How
called.
Hellfire Ramparts.
Ramparts. Yeah. So the first I get into Ramparts, we do a Ramparts. First thing I noticed was we had a warlock in the group. His pet got stuck in a wall and refused to come out. Just wouldn't come out of the wall. So we're like, like, well, okay, you know what I mean? Like these guys are promising. These guys were, keep in mind, promising that the TBC content was going to be 100 times better than the vanilla content. You know, because they only care about TBC. And yeah, it wasn't. So that was the first experience. First bug I saw was a warlock's pet getting stuck in the wall. Then you couldn't LOS any of the orcs in the place. You couldn't hide behind walls. They would just shoot. There was like they were spamming shadow balls through the wall and shit. Like you couldn't LOS them, so it was just cancerous as fuck. We finally get through it after a couple of wives. We get to the second last boss, which is that big demon that puts an aura on you, and when you get the aura, you got to run out. Otherwise,
Omar
you
the
do a bunch of
Unscarred, I
damage.
think is his name.
Yeah, that guy. I did that boss 3 times in 3 different groups, and not once did I see any loot drop off him. He never dropped loot, which is totally wrong, obviously, but that's that. So I'll leave it at that. Hellfire Ramparts was just not good. It was buggy. The mobs didn't believe in LOS. Pets were stuck in walls. One of the bosses refused to drop loot. That was that. However, it paled in comparison to what I experienced in Blood Furnace, which was absolute dog shit. Now, I don't remember exactly what happened in Blood Furnace because it's been a little bit since then. I just don't care enough. But I remember specifically orcs running through walls. And the funniest one to me was orcs running up walls. They were running up the wall into like above the dungeon. Now, the dungeon, from what I understand, is only a 1 level, right? You don't go up staircases. You only go down, right? You only go down once. You don't go up. So where the fuck they ran to was beyond me because they ran up and then never came back. They just ran up and never came back. They just ran. They were done. They were finished. So I was laughing my ass off the entire time because as I'm running this dungeon, I'm starting to realize this whole thing was a scam, right? It's just a joke. So I'm just laughing. I'm having a good time, just giggling at all the bugs and shit. And we get to the boss. Now I don't know the name of the boss. I can't remember, but it's the boss that spews that green shit everywhere, and I think it's kind of like mechanical. You know which one I'm talking about? I think it's the
Um,
second boss. It might be.
I think I know who. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got
Is it?
bugged so hard halfway through the fight that he just stood there frozen, and anything with spam on him was like immune. So it was everything would just became immune. No, he would take no damage. So we all had to die. So we just died. We just died. We we just fucking died. And so normally when you die, you reset the instance, right? It's a natural reset. Everything goes back to its normal positions. As we're running back in after after dying, we go. The first person hits him. It was a hunter in our group. Lines up an aim shot, hits him. Immune. So this fucking thing didn't reset from everyone dying. It was still bugged out. It was still immune. So we had to disband the group because that's how fucked it was. And pretty much after that, I had enough of the server. I was just sick of it. There was no fucking proper respawn timers. There was nothing. The dungeons were scripted worse than the vanilla content, and the devs kept hiding behind TBC. They kept trying to like justify average vanilla content by saying, "Don't worry about vanilla content because the TBC content is going to be 100 times better." We scripted to perfection. We've been working on this shit for 5 years. Well, it wasn't. It was worse than the vanilla content. It was fucking dog shit. It was a bugged mess. You guys have no idea what you're doing. You don't even know what the fuck instant respawns are. You've had a combination of 50 years dev experience. You guys should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves, okay? Because you released one of the shittest, cruddiest, piss poor fucking big stinking dump fucking server I've ever witnessed in my life, okay? It was just as bad as Sunwell. Oh yeah, another one. Actually, Hellfire parts had mobs flying in the air. There was an orc swimming in the air. That set the tone. That set the tone.
What a fucking shithole. Yeah, that sounds
What a
brutal.
piece
Like,
of dog shit server.
like,
Also, there was a couple of other bugs. Oh yeah, I will say what else. Another thing about the server, riddled with Russian and Chinese players because they were all transfers from Lights Hope. They allowed transfers from Lights Hope, their servers. So it was tons of. So as you can see it here, that's what World Chat was like on a daily basis. Just fucking goo goo gaga Russian spam. You know what I mean? Just stupid shitty language. That's what it was like all day in the world Russian spam. The dev said the World Chat was only to be used for English. Well, there you go. I told him a couple of times to like, pull these guys up on this shit because with the English players are trying to communicate, trying to get dungeons going with this shit on there. They didn't care. They said just ignore him, bro. And I said, are you retarded? What do you mean just ignore him? There's thousands of them. And so it was full of them. Obviously, it's a white kidney. It was a white kidney server. He played a part in getting the server up and going. So like I say, it was loaded with Russian to Chinese, typical shit kidney server. He invites them all on there, and they all sell gold, and they all have a good time. Um, yeah. Also, another problem with the transfers was that they brought over thousands upon thousands of gold. I had a friend of mine in Butterfly Effect, which is a Chinese guild. Half of them are gold sellers, by the way. I'm friends with him on Discord. He sent me a photo of their guild bank 5 days after the server launched with 350k gold on it and ready to go. Seriously, while I'm sitting there farming leathers. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just so many reasons not to play this server. So fucking, I could go on this for an hour, but I don't want it to be just about how shit Light's Vengeance is. But I'll leave it at that. That's that's some idea of how bad this server was. You can go read my post here if you really want to look at it. I detail most of what I saw. Just rubbish from start to finish. As you can see, it's got 100 upvotes on WoW servers, which is pretty tough because most people rage when you make fun of their servers. So I guess a lot of people do agree the server was trash. Um, that's all I got to say on that server, man. It was just shit.
Yeah, I don't know. That just sounds brutal, man. That's all I can really say. Like, I didn't play there myself, but I think you did a.
Yeah, yeah. You should pat yourself on the back for not playing
Yeah,
because you missed out on nothing.
I knew it, dude. I can smell fucking stock shithole from a mile away at this
Yeah, it
point.
was. It was stock mangoes. Then when I said this server was a stock mango shithole in the Discord, one of the developers go, "Well, he is technically correct. It is stock mangoes." And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like,
Well, actually.
it says it all, really. Well, he's not wrong.
Right.
So
And
stupid.
fuck yeah. And wait, didn't one of the devs like message you to take down a
Oh
post?
yeah, one of the devs messaged me on Discord asking me to take the post down because it was damaging their server. And I'm like, well, I'll take down a little bit of it, but I'm not going to take it because it's still everything I said there is basically true, apart from a couple of accusations that might have been true, but I couldn't guarantee. So I took it out. I just basically accused them of brigading the thread because there was a bunch of like spam happening really quickly, and like the auto moderator was going nuts banning all these people. So I'm like, all right, this is probably like a brigade from their Discord, but I couldn't confirm it, so I just took out the accusation. But yeah.